Have you ever felt like you're caught in an endless race, where every day feels faster, and the world demands you buy, achieve, and keep up? What if I told you there's a powerful alternative? A way to live more peacefully, more intentionally, without being trapped by the constant pressures to consume. In today's video, we're diving into the path of slow living, a lifestyle that lets you reconnect with what truly matters: your well-being, your relationships, and your inner peace. Imagine breaking free from the weight of clutter, the never-ending cycle of spending, and finding joy in the simple things. By the end of this video, you'll discover how embracing a slower, simpler life can lead to profound happiness, greater financial freedom, and a legacy of meaning. We'll explore real-life stories, including one about downsizing to a simpler home that brought more freedom than ever expected. You'll see how small changes, like clearing out unnecessary possessions or appreciating life's quiet moments, can bring unexpected clarity and contentment. Stay with us to learn how to protect yourself from the traps of modern consumerism, gain financial freedom, and truly savor life. By watching until the end, you'll not only find inspiration but practical steps to transform your life. This journey might be challenging, but the rewards of inner peace, health, and happiness are worth it. Let's start together, because sometimes slowing down is the key to finally moving forward. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. In the world we live in today, it often feels like everything has a price. Every moment, every experience, every interaction, measured and monetized. The relentless drive for more is so ingrained in modern life that it can sometimes feel like there's no escape, as if every ounce of time and energy we possess is already spoken for by the demands of a faster, more profitable lifestyle. For those of us who can remember a time when life moved slower, a time when satisfaction wasn't measured by how much we owned or how efficiently we lived, this race to keep up can feel exhausting, even alienating. We're caught in a loop where accumulation seems to promise happiness, yet often delivers the opposite, leaving us feeling weighed down, disconnected, and, paradoxically, unsatisfied. But here's a liberating thought: we don't have to live this way. We have the freedom to opt out, to choose a different pace, a slower, more intentional life. We've reached an age, a stage of wisdom, where the concept of enough feels not only appealing but downright necessary for our peace of mind. It's perfectly acceptable, even wise, to step out of this unending race. We can pause. We can breathe. We can live a life measured by moments instead of things, and value experiences over possessions. This realization isn't just a privilege, it's a form of self-care, a reclaiming of our time and energy from the clutches of a culture that never lets up. My own journey toward this simpler life began with a deeply personal decision to downsize, one that has reshaped not only my surroundings but my entire perspective. Many years ago, after living in a large, spacious home that had steadily filled up with things I thought I needed, I chose to move to a much smaller space, a narrowboat. Now, if you're familiar with narrowboats, you'll know just how tiny they are: 50 feet long and less than 7 feet wide. The moment I set foot on that boat, I knew this was going to be a life-changing move. Every corner, every shelf, every inch of space mattered, and I simply couldn't take all the stuff with me. This wasn't just about relocating, it was about reimagining what was truly essential. As I faced the daunting task of deciding what to keep and what to let go, I quickly realized I had accumulated far more than I ever needed. Each cupboard and drawer held reminders of things I had forgotten about, items that once seemed essential but had quietly drifted into obscurity. It was shocking, honestly, how much I'd held onto without even realizing it. Kitchen gadgets I never used, old appliances tucked away in closets, keepsakes whose meanings had faded. And then there were the truly excessive items. 5 coffee makers, each bought at a different time, each representing some phase or moment I thought it might improve. How had I become so burdened with things that had long since lost their purpose? At first, the thought of letting go of so many things was overwhelming. Each object felt tied to a memory or a possibility I had once valued. I felt the urge to cling to every last item as if they somehow defined me. But as I slowly began to part with these possessions, something amazing began to happen. With each item I let go, I felt a strange sense of relief. It was as if I was shedding more than just material belongings. I was letting go of the invisible weight they carried, the silent pressures they represented. Each discarded coffee maker, every forgotten knick-knack, became a piece of a burden I no longer needed to bear. Moving into that narrow boat with only the essentials felt liberating in a way I had never anticipated. The absence of clutter brought a sense of clarity and calm I hadn't felt in years. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. And that's when it struck me. This wasn't just about physical space, it was about mental and emotional space, too. For so long, I had been carrying not only the weight of my possessions but the responsibilities, the memories, and the unfulfilled somedays they represented. And as I let go, I felt a deep, almost spiritual lightness, as though a burden had lifted that I hadn't even known was there. I could finally breathe easier, as if the air itself had grown lighter. It felt like shedding layers of the past, like becoming reacquainted with a version of myself that wasn't bogged down by things. It reminded me of the myth of Atlas, finally shrugging off the sky, a burden I had carried for so long simply because I thought I had to. You don't have to make such a drastic change to experience this freedom. You don't have to sell your home or move onto a boat. But I would invite you to take a small step toward letting go, even if it's just starting with a single drawer or closet. Look at the things you own and ask yourself, do they truly serve you? Do they bring you joy or purpose, or are they simply taking up space, both in your home and in your mind? Try releasing a few things, even just a handful, that no longer feel essential. Begin with the kitchen, perhaps, or that cluttered corner of your garage. Let go of the things that hold you back, that anchor you to a version of yourself you've outgrown. Trust me when I say this, you will be amazed at the sense of peace that follows. With each item you release, you'll feel a shift, a growing lightness, an inner calm, a feeling of space not only in your surroundings but in your soul. Life becomes clearer, more focused, and infinitely more fulfilling when we are no longer weighed down by the things we don't truly need. Embracing less gives us more room to cherish the experiences, the relationships, and the simple joys that bring real meaning to our lives. Simplifying your surroundings does more than just clear out the clutter. It has an almost magical way of clearing the mental cobwebs we accumulate over time. Imagine walking into a room that is free of unnecessary objects, where each item has a purpose or brings you joy. Now think of your mind the same way, as a space that can either be overrun with needless thoughts, worries, and distractions, or be open, peaceful, and purposeful. By choosing to simplify, we're allowing ourselves to step away from the stress that comes with too much stuff, too many commitments, too many distractions. In that stillness, we find a peace that cannot be bought or artificially created. When I think about capitalism, I acknowledge the good it can do, but I also recognize its potential pitfalls. Capitalism, at its core, is a system that rewards effort and innovation. The baker who rises before dawn to make bread deserves to profit from their labor, and I'm glad to pay them for that convenience. It's a fair exchange that reflects a positive aspect of capitalism. People bringing value to each other's lives, supporting their communities, and growing from the fruits of their work. But while I appreciate this part of capitalism, I also feel it's vital to approach it with caution. Because where capitalism is meant to serve us, sometimes we find ourselves serving it instead. When we're not careful, we slip into the pattern of consuming for the sake of consumption, driven by the latest ad, the newest model, or the sense that buying will somehow make us better or happier. And so, what was once a helpful system becomes a cycle we're trapped in, pushing us to spend without stopping to ask ourselves if we even truly want or need what we're buying. One of capitalism's strengths is its competitive nature. If one company is charging too much, another will step in to offer a lower price. This competition creates choices, options, and affordability, but it also encourages us to buy more, to collect and accumulate. Over time, this can lead to a kind of consumer fatigue, where we're constantly looking for satisfaction in material things and wondering why it feels so fleeting. We get the new gadget and feel a quick thrill, but that thrill fades and we're already looking for the next thing to fill its place. This relentless pursuit of more can distract us from what brings us lasting happiness. It seems that as we age, as we gain life experiences, we begin to understand that the things we once thought were essential don't add that much value. The newest phone, the designer jacket, the ever-updating wardrobe, they all lose their significance when we realize that life is not meant to be defined by possessions. Life is about the moments that take our breath away, the people who bring us joy, and the times of quiet reflection that ground us in who we are. We look back and see that the best moments didn't happen because of what we owned, but because of who we were with and how present we allowed ourselves to be. The peace we feel after a meaningful conversation, the joy in a sunset, the comfort in a quiet afternoon. These are experiences that last and shape us, not things that fade like the novelty of a purchase. Living simply in a world obsessed with accumulation and status can feel isolating, almost like stepping off a fast-moving train while everyone else keeps rushing forward. Society constantly pushes us toward more buying, more earning, more striving. Yet choosing simplicity, choosing to live with less, can be the ultimate act of freedom. When we step off that consumer treadmill, we open ourselves up to seeing the world differently. The noise quiets, and suddenly we notice details we once ignored. We see the beauty in a clear sky, in the sound of laughter, in the touch of a friend's hand. We find joy in what is around us, not in what we can buy. There is a quiet courage in choosing to live simply, in standing apart from the crowd. To be in the minority of people who choose not to chase every trend or new gadget can feel like an act of rebellion, but it's a beautiful rebellion. When we simplify, when we choose less over more, we gain more than we lose. We find richness in the things that money cannot buy. The feeling of sunlight warming our skin on a chilly day, the sound of birds singing in the morning, and the comfort of knowing that we have enough. These simple pleasures bring a sense of fullness that no possession could replace. In a life without the clutter of constant wanting, we find a peace that resonates deeply. We discover that happiness doesn't come from what we buy or own, but from how we live, who we love, and the experiences we choose to cherish. This peace is a kind of wealth, one that goes beyond dollars and possessions. It's a richness that comes from within, from knowing that we're living a life true to ourselves, guided by meaning rather than materialism. In choosing simplicity, we're not only saving our wallets but preserving our minds, our time, and our souls. We free ourselves from the endless cycle of wanting and instead open ourselves to the gifts of the present moment. It's a path that may seem quieter and less glamorous, but it's filled with a depth and beauty that no amount of money can ever truly buy. And in that choice, in that peace, we find a life worth living. Living simply doesn't mean giving up on comfort or depriving yourself of things you love. It's about making intentional choices and embracing the power of less to gain a life that feels fuller and richer. Choosing simplicity is a conscious act of clarity, distilling your days down to what genuinely brings you joy, fulfills you, and allows you to be your truest self. It's the ability to let go of what doesn't serve you, those excess possessions or unending pursuits that only drain your energy. By embracing simplicity, you give yourself permission to savor life's precious moments, to slow down and find peace in the present, instead of always chasing after an idealized future that seems just out of reach. It's about discovering a sense of fullness that doesn't rely on more, but rather on meaning, alignment, and connection. It's also a path that can feel lonely, especially at the beginning. When you step away from society's expectations, the pressure to always have the latest things, achieve the highest status, or rush toward every new trend, there's often resistance from those around you. Friends and family might find it difficult to understand your choice to live with less, to forego a relentless cycle of buying, upgrading, or collecting in favor of something quieter, more intentional. They may question why you choose to live more minimally, why you'd willingly step off the treadmill that everyone else seems to be running on. But over time, as you settle into this lifestyle, the peace you gain from freeing yourself of excess and the freedom that comes from consuming less becomes a balm, outweighing any sense of discomfort that might arise from feeling different. The journey to simplicity is deeply personal and, while unconventional, it brings a sense of fulfillment that's hard to explain and even harder to replace. When you live simply, you start to notice beauty in the little things. The shift is subtle at first, but as we age, we begin to realize that true joy often lies in simplicity. The grand, extravagant experiences we once chased may no longer hold the same thrill. Their allure fades, replaced by a deep appreciation for life's smaller treasures. The simple pleasure of sitting on your porch with a warm cup of tea on a crisp morning, watching the world wake up around you, feels like a gift you once might have overlooked. Or perhaps it's the quiet contentment of spending time with loved ones, free from distractions, truly being there for each other without the need to plan a lavish outing or make grand gestures. It might even be the joy of watching birds gather around a feeder, a small reminder of nature's gentle rhythm and the beauty of the world outside ourselves. These moments, once small and overlooked, become treasured memories and offer us a richness that doesn't come with a price tag. This shift to a slower, simpler life opens our eyes to new possibilities. Freed from the cycle of consuming more and more, we create space for experiences and pursuits that nurture us in ways we might never have imagined. Maybe you'll start a garden, discovering the satisfaction of nurturing a plant from seed to blossom, or the pride of picking your vegetables. The garden, in its quiet way, becomes a teacher, showing us that life itself is cyclical and that growth takes time and care. Or maybe you'll finally pick up that book you've been meaning to read or revisit a hobby that once brought you joy but was lost in the busyness of life. When we clear away the distractions of material possessions, we uncover the heart of who we are, and this sense of self becomes our guide. These moments, spent in the gentle rhythm of life's simple pleasures, stay with us, often far longer than any material item ever could. The beauty of simplicity is that it invites us to be fully present. We're no longer living for the next purchase, the next big event, or the next achievement. Instead, we're grounded in the here and now, embracing the freedom of living in a way that is meaningful, intentional, and truly fulfilling. Each simple joy, whether it's a quiet walk in nature, the satisfaction of preparing a meal from scratch, or an evening spent with someone we love, becomes a treasure, a memory that fills us with gratitude. In a world that constantly pushes us to do more, have more, and be more, simplicity is an act of quiet rebellion, a choice to live life on our terms and find happiness not in possessions, but in presence, peace, and connection. And so, when we choose simplicity, we choose to live with less so that we can experience more. More joy, more peace, more gratitude. We create a life that is not filled to the brim with things but brimming with meaning, a life that aligns with our values and brings us closer to the things that truly matter. The simple life isn't about what you give up, it's about what you gain: clarity, freedom, and a deep, abiding happiness that can't be found in any store or measured by any possession. It's a way of living that sustains us, nurtures us, and reminds us of the beauty that can be found in the smallest of moments. And in those moments, we discover that the simplest life, while quiet, is often the richest one of all. Resisting the pull of consumerism, truly resisting it, is a journey, and it's one that many of us have been on, whether we realize it or not. Let's face it, the allure of consumerism is woven into the very fabric of modern life. Everywhere we turn, we're faced with ads that promise us happiness in the form of shiny new products. It's that familiar nudge, a voice in our heads that whispers, "Just one more purchase and you'll feel complete." Even after making the conscious decision to slow down, to live simply, those temptations don't vanish. They linger, waiting for moments when we feel bored, stressed, or even a bit lonely. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. The challenge, of course, is that the rush of buying is real. There's a certain thrill in scrolling through online stores, even if you're not looking for anything in particular. The seduction of consumerism is subtle but powerful. It pulls us in under the guise of harmless fun, a quick look, a casual browse. But before we know it, our shopping cart is full of items we didn't even know we wanted. This cycle, while familiar, is ultimately unsatisfying. We buy, we feel a rush, and then, almost as quickly, that feeling fades, leaving us once again searching for fulfillment. But there's a way out of this cycle, a way to find peace that doesn't rely on purchasing the next new thing. The secret lies in gradually, deliberately training ourselves to resist these urges. It's not about depriving ourselves, but about reclaiming control over our lives and choices. Start small, even with just one day. Set aside a day when you make it your mission not to buy anything. Yes, even that tiny splurge. Instead, take notice of how it feels to go without. Then try to stretch it to 2 days, perhaps even a week. The initial discomfort of not treating yourself can feel challenging, but with time, a sense of calm and satisfaction begins to replace the urge to spend. Each step forward builds inner strength and a new kind of confidence. And slowly but surely, you'll find that your need to buy, to constantly acquire, starts to fade. Once you begin to break free from the hold of consumerism, something magical happens. Space opens up in your life. This space is more than just the physical room in your home. It's a mental and emotional clarity that's hard to describe but deeply fulfilling. Now, without the constant distraction of shopping, you're free to focus on things that bring true joy. What will you do with this newfound freedom? The beauty of this space is that you can fill it with anything that truly nourishes you. Consider this: with extra time, you might pick up a passion you've left on the back burner, like gardening or painting. Imagine stepping into a garden each morning, feeling the cool dew on your fingers as you tend to flowers and plants you've nurtured from seeds. Or perhaps you've always wanted to learn something new, say, knitting or woodworking. Crafting something with your own hands, with time and care, brings a satisfaction that no purchased item can replicate. Even more, you may find yourself drawn to the simple pleasure of being present with loved ones. You might invite family over, sharing memories and stories that have been passed down through generations. If you're a grandparent, think of the joy of sharing stories with your grandchildren, of seeing their eyes light up as they listen, captivated. You're not just passing on memories. You're creating a legacy, a bridge that connects past and future. And there's something remarkable in rediscovering the beauty of things you already own. When was the last time you appreciated your favorite book or a cozy sweater that has served you for years? As you embrace this simpler life, you'll start to notice the quiet beauty in these familiar items. They're not just things anymore. They're pieces of your life's journey, each carrying its memories, its own story. In the end, what you gain from resisting consumerism is priceless. It's a sense of fulfillment that no purchase can match. This path is a journey of coming back to yourself, of finding satisfaction in experiences, relationships, and simple joys rather than things. Yes, it requires effort, and sometimes patience, but the rewards are rich and lasting. The peace that comes from not needing anything else, from knowing that everything you truly need, you already have, cannot be overstated. You're creating a life that is rich in experiences, a life that is genuinely yours, untouched by the pressure to consume. And this life, filled with meaning, purpose, and connection, is one of the greatest treasures you could ever find. Choosing to live slowly and simply in today's fast-paced world isn't just a lifestyle choice. It's a radical departure from society's expectations and demands. From the moment we are old enough to understand, we're fed messages that measure our worth by what we own, the places we go, and the achievements we display. Breaking free from this deeply ingrained belief is like breaking out of an invisible cage. You will meet resistance from others, questioning looks from friends and family, and doubts from your mind. After all, the concept of having it all is so deeply rooted in our culture that choosing less can feel like choosing failure. But living differently, deciding to slow down, consume less, and seek more meaningful experiences, invites peace and satisfaction that the rush of consumption will never offer. This path is far from easy. You may feel as if you're swimming against a relentless tide, a force so strong that it can sometimes make you question why you began the journey in the first place. Friends may look at your decisions with curiosity, maybe even judgment, as they move through the milestones of modern life, buying more and climbing social ladders. And you'll feel it, the pang of self-doubt, that nagging whisper wondering if you're missing out on the good life. But these moments of discomfort, while intense, are fleeting. The real transformation happens slowly as you begin to unshackle yourself from society's grip, discovering that the beauty of life isn't in what you possess but in how fully and mindfully you experience each moment. Financial freedom through choosing less. Redefining wealth. One of the most unexpected but rewarding gifts of simplicity is financial freedom, a kind of liberation that goes beyond any paycheck. When you no longer feel the pull to buy the latest gadget or add another outfit to your wardrobe, you realize that your hard-earned money can serve a higher purpose. Each dollar saved by not giving into the consumer cycle represents more freedom, more peace, and a greater capacity to pursue what truly matters. Imagine taking that money and putting it toward what truly lights you up, reuniting with family for an unforgettable gathering, investing in your health with resources that truly support you, or perhaps building a safety net that gives you peace of mind for years to come. As you simplify, you're breaking free from the pressures of maintaining an outwardly impressive but inwardly exhausting lifestyle. Suddenly, the income you thought was barely enough feels like abundance. You realize that the good life isn't filled with things, but rather with time and freedom to do what fulfills you. Living simply frees you from the fear that you don't have enough, and instead invites you to find joy in what you already possess. The weight lifts as you stop measuring your worth by the balance in your bank account and start valuing the richness of your days. The journey of simplicity isn't just about saving money. It's about reclaiming your time, energy, and focus to live in a way that brings genuine happiness. The depth of reflection. Finding true value in life's journey. Reflection becomes almost a sacred practice when you choose to live slowly and simply. In a world where everything moves at lightning speed, the simple act of sitting down with your thoughts, of quietly reviewing the chapters of your life, feels like a profound privilege. As we grow older, this reflection becomes a natural part of life, a cherished opportunity to look back at what truly mattered and what didn't. For me, choosing simplicity has created a calm space where I can do this reflection meaningfully, without the distractions of endless wants and needs clouding my vision. When I think about my journey, I don't long for the things I didn't buy or the trends I didn't follow. Instead, I hold close to the memories of laughter shared with friends, quiet mornings spent in nature, and moments of stillness that grounded me in the present. These experiences, unburdened by material excess, feel far richer than any possession could. Mistakes? Yes, I've made them. There were times when I lost sight of what truly mattered, moments when I let society's demands shape my choices. But with each lesson learned, I return to my path with a renewed understanding of what brings me peace and joy. This intentional, less materialistic life is not without its challenges, but it has given me a level of contentment that no amount of possessions could provide. It has shown me that happiness isn't about accumulating, but about appreciating. The path I've chosen, full of simplicity, patience, and mindfulness, has redefined what it means to live fully. I no longer chase after the next big thing. Instead, I cherish the simple joys that have always been within reach. Living this way isn't just about making different choices. It's about redefining success, reimagining what it means to be wealthy, and finding peace within yourself. The rewards of alignment with values. A life of true fulfillment. Living in alignment with your values is perhaps the most profound reward of choosing a slower, simpler life. Each step on this path is a step toward a life that resonates deeply with who you are. You no longer feel like a passenger on a fast-moving train headed toward destinations that society has set for you. Instead, you're driving your journey, guided by values that you hold close to. And while this journey is challenging, it is one of the most rewarding gifts you can give yourself. This alignment brings a quiet but powerful sense of fulfillment. The pressure to compare yourself to others fades as you realize that your path is yours alone. You begin to see that a life lived authentically, according to your values, is richer and more meaningful than one spent keeping up with societal standards. With every choice to live intentionally, you are choosing to be free. Free from the expectations that weigh so heavily on those around you, free to find joy in what you have, and free to create a life that feels genuinely fulfilling. Ultimately, living a slow, simple life isn't about rejecting the world around you, but rather embracing the world within you. It's a journey of courage, self-discovery, and profound peace. And although it may be different from the norm, it's a path that leads to a richness far beyond the material. So take heart in the journey, trust in its rewards, and know that by choosing simplicity, you are choosing a life of true fulfillment, leaving a legacy of simplicity and lasting values. As I journey into the later stages of life, my mind increasingly drifts toward the question of legacy. What will I leave behind when I'm gone? For many, legacy might conjure images of wealth or heirlooms passed down from one generation to the next. But when I think about my legacy, material possessions fade into the background, replaced by a deeper desire to leave something intangible yet profoundly lasting. I want to pass down the values that have shaped my life. Values of simplicity, mindfulness, and gratitude for the things that truly hold meaning. These are treasures, though unseen, that can illuminate lives more powerfully than any possession ever could. I hope that when my children and grandchildren look back on my life, they'll see a person who cherished simplicity and who found richness not in excess but in the beauty of everyday moments. For me, this is what it means to truly live. To see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to find happiness not in having more but in loving what's already here. I hope they remember the warmth of small, intentional acts, quiet mornings shared over coffee, laughter filling a room, hands held in silence when no words are needed. I wish for them to inherit a life philosophy that honors presence over possessions, people over things, and joy over wealth. I hope that they, too, will find contentment in simplicity and make choices that bring them closer to what truly matters. It's a lesson that cannot be bought or taught in a classroom, but one that unfolds gently over time, through observing and experiencing. I want them to look back on my life not with a checklist of achievements, but with a sense of peace, understanding that happiness doesn't lie in achievements or accumulation but in appreciation for life's small, steady joys. I hope this realization guides them on their journeys, leading them to discover their paths to peace and contentment, just as I have found mine. Prioritizing health and embracing the gift of a slower life. In these later years, I've come to recognize that health is one of the most precious gifts we possess, though we often take it for granted until it begins to wane. As I reflect on what it means to live a fulfilling life, I see how essential it is to prioritize our well-being, especially in a world that constantly demands productivity, speed, and the accumulation of more. In today's fast-paced culture, we're so often urged to push through exhaustion, to meet every deadline, and to value accomplishments over self-care. Yet, I've come to believe that living a slower, more mindful life is one of the greatest acts of self-care we can give ourselves. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This shift toward a slower life has been like a gentle but steady healing. It has encouraged me to listen, truly listen, to my body and my mind, and to notice the subtle cues they give. Instead of pushing myself to the brink for the sake of staying busy or meeting some external expectation, I've allowed myself the grace to rest when I need it, to savor quiet moments, and to embrace self-care as a vital part of each day. I now make room for small, intentional habits, like morning stretches that greet the day with calm, the mindful enjoyment of meals prepared with care, and quiet moments of reflection that soothe the mind. Through this journey, I've discovered the freedom that comes with letting go of the need to always be productive, and instead focusing on what genuinely nurtures my spirit and body. This slower pace has also brought me closer to nature, a connection that feels like a homecoming to something deeply familiar and grounding. Taking time to walk among trees, to sit and listen to birdsong, or simply to breathe in the crisp, fresh air has become a sacred ritual, a way of reconnecting with the earth and with myself. These quiet interactions with the natural world are healing in ways I could never have anticipated. Science reminds us that time spent in nature lowers stress, reduces blood pressure, and brings mental clarity, but my experience feels even more profound. Nature has become a gentle reminder of life's cycles, of the patience and resilience embedded in every season, and of the quiet beauty in every day. In a slower life, health is not merely a background concern but a central focus, a compass guiding each day's choices. It's about nourishing ourselves from the inside out, not just with nutritious food but with positive experiences, fulfilling connections, and intentional time spent in environments that support our well-being. This choice to prioritize health over the constant drive to keep up with the hurried world around me has transformed the way I view my days. I feel more present, more aware, and more grateful for each moment. By embracing this approach, I hope to enrich not only my own life but also to inspire others to find their way toward a fulfilling, peaceful existence. In these small, mindful decisions, we gift ourselves a higher quality of life, one that we can carry forward into the years to come with joy and contentment. As we come to the end of this reflection on legacy, simplicity, and the beauty of a slower, mindful life, I'd love to hear from you. What resonated with you the most? What insights have you gained from this discussion that you might bring into your own life? Take a moment to think about one thing you've learned, and share it in the comments below. Perhaps it's a shift toward valuing simplicity, a newfound focus on health, or maybe a commitment to spending more time in nature. Whatever it may be, your thoughts are valuable, and I'd love to know how you'll carry these ideas forward. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more reflections on living a meaningful and fulfilling life. Thank you for watching, and here's to embracing a life rich in what truly matters.